is just this is question just pops up to my mind. In April or in May, there were some questions. We used to talk about Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger as one of the most biggest rivalry in early 2000. Before the Invincible, around that time. But some people and some media talk about now it's Klopp and Pep is even better than them. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the level of managers, they are, yeah. I mean, Ferguson and Wenger was a fantastic rivalry, but they never quite dominated European football as these two are. I mean, these are the best two clubs in Europe. And save for Liverpool's dip during COVID times, they pretty much have been at that level for the last 3 or 4 years. So yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the quality of the management and quality of the teams, yeah, I think it's far better than Wenger and Ferguson, who were great managers, and of course Ferguson made great progress in Europe. Wenger did eventually. But I felt that rivalry was very much a Premier League thing, whereas this feels like it's dominating Europe.
Okay. Then, good to know. And then now let's move on to the questions in general. The first one is, as we speak, as we speak in the beginning of this interview, your book, The Mixer, finished at the chapter of Conte at Chelsea, and it's really after that now it's all about Pep and Klopp, right? So as your book is really great to see the trend in terms of tactics. So what do you think about the biggest trend or biggest agenda of the Premier League at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, if I was writing an update, I think there'd have to be a few more chapters. I think a lot has happened. Yeah, I mean, where to start? There's so many little factors. I mean, I think Guardiola probably deserves a chapter of his own in terms of the way that he's formatted that Manchester City team. He's worked on a lot of concepts that are really interesting, whether it be, the free eights, as Kevin De Bruyne calls them, the very high central midfielders, whether it be Ederson's incredible distribution, whether it's the fact that he's won the league 2 seasons in a row really without a proper centre forward. I mean, there's so much going on there. I think there'd probably be a chapter on fullbacks and how creative they are, whether that's the two at Liverpool or in a different way. João Cancelo, I think, has had a remarkable season, the one just gone. So there'd be a lot going on. And also there's been a lot of European finals between English sides in that time. Obviously, there's been 2 Champions League finals, Tottenham against Liverpool and City against Chelsea. So yeah, there's been loads happening really in that time. So yeah, it certainly deserves an update, and I should get around to doing that at some point.
Yes, please. And then yeah, I will be looking forward to the update of that book. And then also, Pep. We have 2 geniuses at the moment in the Premier League. Not only 2, but obviously 2, at least 2. And Pep won the league four times in 5 seasons, right? So he is well known as the tactician, and sometimes he is criticized for, some people say he thinks too much, especially in the Champions League. And then, so what do you think is the reason? He won the league 4 times in 5 seasons, but he still is not winning the European Champions League. What do you think is the reason for that?
A few things. I think sometimes they've been a little bit unfortunate. I think at some points they just are not clinical enough in the penalty boxes, whether that's finishing chances or just the last-ditch defending. I think tactically he's probably got it wrong on a couple of occasions. I think Lyon, when they lost to Lyon in 2020 during the COVID period, when there was it was just one leg, I thought his tactical approach for that game was really weird. I think it was far too defensive. strange shape to use in that game. I don't really know what he was trying there. But I wouldn't be too critical of him for the Champions League final defeat. I mean, people will say he didn't use a holding midfielder, but I personally didn't think that had that much impact on the game. And against Real Madrid this year, I don't think he did too much wrong. He brought on Grealish in the final stages of that game. Grealish came very close to scoring twice. And then Real Madrid threw everyone forward and got a couple of goals. It was an incredible comeback. But I don't really think you can fault Guardiola too much. So yeah, just a combination of factors. But it is, I mean, people were talking about this, him failing in the Champions League after 3 years at Bayern when he didn't win it. So to go 6 years at City without winning it, the 3 at Bayern, and of course the last year with Barcelona as well. I mean, that is adding up into something quite incredible when you consider that he's won, 7 league titles in that time? That is quite an odd record, yeah. But I think, as always, I think there's a variety of factors involved.
All right, and then, I mean, we also have not only Pep but Klopp. We also should mention Tuchel. I mean, in UK you call Tuchel, right? Thomas Tuchel. I mean, he's also a genius. So I mean, in tactical point of view, right? We have too much genius in Premier League alone. So it's who? I mean, among all those genius and great managers, in tactical point of view, who do you think is the best manager and why?
That's a tough question. I think all 3 of those 3 are really special. I think Tuchel, in terms of his philosophies, maybe a cross between the 2. Tactically, I'd probably still give the edge to Guardiola, but I think as an overall manager, I might go for Klopp. I just think he's just such a good man manager and motivator, and I think he really rallies the team and the club and the fans and the city. I think what he's done at Dortmund and Liverpool is really, really special. And we're accustomed to talking about Liverpool as, one of the big 2, if you like. But they weren't anywhere near that level when Klopp took over. And the same was true of Dortmund. I think Guardiola is a brilliant manager, but he has 3 times taken over, one of the already established top 2 and made them better and won lots of trophies. But I think Klopp has done something which is relatively rare and built up teams from nothing. And I think that's really special. And I think he's actually a much better manager now than when he got to the Premier League. And certainly a much better manager than when he won the 2 titles with Dortmund. You look back at the Dortmund side and they were very, very good and very exciting at the time. But I think in some ways they're quite straightforward and there was so much based around running and energy and gegenpressing. And I think now there's so much more sophistication to the way Klopp's teams play, more patience, more invention, more creativity. I just think they're a much better team now. And if I could choose one of the 2, I'd probably go for Klopp. But that's not just tactical factors.
So, I mean, you said in terms of tactic, maybe it's Guardiola, but overall, you think Klopp?
Yeah, I would go for that. Yeah.
All right.